we are live, and we're back considering the first of the amendments to H 230, which really was primarily in healthcare committee's jurisdiction. Although since it strikes the whole bill, I think we at least get to vote on this. But as far as the rationale for rejecting it, I think it is within the Ballywick or jurisdiction healthcare. So we're here for Representative Black as far as their vote and their rationale for the vote.
Yeah, so Representative Alyssa Black from House Healthcare. So we listened to the amendment, and there are many merits to it, which we have been discussing for the last couple months in our committee. There is a lack of comprehensive data, which Representative Donahue put forth in her amendment. We actually are addressing that in a bill that's on the floor today, H 481. I hope I get the number right, but I believe it's H 481. And one of the things that we are tasking our Director of Suicide Prevention in the state is to find the gaps in data collection and come back to us next year with what additional data we need to be collecting. And the Representative Donahue's amendment is actually a really nice list. And we will be asking them when they come back that we want this information. This is information that is collected by other states. It is not in the state of Vermont. So we were fully in favor of that, but we're already addressing that in H 481. Also, there is currently going on within the Vermont Department of Health, the Suicide Data Linkage Project. And if I get that exact title wrong, I apologize. They are doing a look back. This is currently happening right now. It was a CDC grant. They are doing a 2-year look back at all suicides, and they are going into police records, death records, things like that, and they are pulling this type of information from that. Plus a lot more information, interactions with law enforcement, housing, all sorts of social determinants of health. So that actually is ongoing work right now. Part of 481, I believe it's section 3, don't quote me on that either, is that they will be completing that report, I believe in September of this year, and they will be coming to us in January of next year to give us the results of that. And also they will share the results with us this fall when that information comes out. So all of this work is already being done, and it is the consensus of the Committee on Healthcare that we also took a lot of information, and we know a lot of this information already. As I mentioned in my bill report yesterday, the suicide fatality or the youth child fatality review team actually comes out with a report every single year. And in that report, it has all firearm deaths, and there is discussion around the circumstances of all of them. And every year in that report, those reports are on our legislative website. They mention in there whether or not safe storage was an issue. So we already know that safe storage is an issue, and that is how the majority of basically the kids in our state are dying by suicide and firearm, is with unsecured firearms. We don't feel the need to wait another year. Essentially, if H 230 is postponed for one more year and one extra person dies that wouldn't have had to die, we're not willing to put it off.
you, Greg.
Right. Any questions for Representative Black?
Oh, and our committee vote was 9-0 to find it unfavorable.
Vote no on the floor.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for that, and we'll, I think, have a brief discussion here as well, and so you don't need to stick around for that. Thank you very much. Unless there were questions, it didn't look like there were any questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Joe.
Philosophically opposed to strike all amendments where there hasn't been testimony taken and it's massive changes. And I said that last time Representative Donahue brought a similar amendment. I was doing the same thing this time. I don't like it from a process standpoint because whether one agrees or disagrees with the underlying bill, one would be replacing language that has received a lot of vetting with language that has received no vetting. And while that's okay with me for certain instances of amendment where we saw some amendments earlier today. We had some discussion about how we had taken some testimony about that stuff and had a basis for discussion. We don't have a basis for discussion on this amendment because, one, it's not in the jurisdiction of our committee, and two, we've had no testimony on what would be good in a report, what wouldn't be good in a report, what methods, who might be the best custodian of that. And I don't like those sorts of amendments. I have no problem with instances of amendment from the floor, but I have problems with strike all and massive changes from the floor. So I just remaining consistent in how I felt for a while on this.
I will.
Thank you.
One of the benefits of this body having gone through the challenge of COVID is the fact that our meetings are now all live streamed. And I actually, in the interim between Representative Donahue giving her presentation and this discussion, I actually heard from a constituent who raised a question that I hadn't considered. And it bothers me on a whole different level as far as this bill goes, because when we're looking at the language, the review required by this section shall rely on all available existing records related to the death and on interviews of any persons identified in existing records, and so on and so forth. We need to do this right. I'm all for data collection, but the way this is thrown together and the way this is spelled out, and as Representative Donahue mentioned, the efforts that she's seen happen so far are amateur efforts to gather information. We have no clue if this were to proceed in this manner, how the next step will be handled. I want information gathering to be spelled out. It sounds like the healthcare committee is doing that. I think we will have a good process in place for correct information gathering. And the last thing I would want is for us to pass something with vague wording and someone who is a family that has experienced a tragedy, they just have someone knock on their door to talk about it. And there's no victim services, there's no counseling involved. It's just reopening a tragedy. That's not how this needs to be handled. So there's a myriad of reasons that I'm opposed to this amendment, and I would make a motion to find it unfavorable.
Is there a second?
Second. I was just gonna second.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Ken.
I wasn't here, so I missed it. What do you want me to do?
I want you to vote however, so here's
You
what
were here
we-
this morning, right?
Yeah, you heard her amendment. So Representative Black explained that this is largely taken care of already in the bill we're going to see this afternoon, H 481, that there's already a study funded by the CDC. I didn't catch who's doing the study, looking at the past 2 years of data, that there is a report on adolescent fatalities that comes out every year that has provided information. So there was information that they've looked at, and that's why they want to proceed. And they have things in place to more robustly gather information. Did I summarize that about right?
Motion's on the table.
I should have been in here.
You don't have to vote if you don't want.
But you should leave.
But you should, yeah.
It's not a problem.
All right, thanks, Ken.
ask on that?
So we have a motion on the table for it to be unfavorable. And you heard the benefit of my summary as well.
And I was in for that, most of that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being able to come back. So all those who find this First Amendment.
Tom, did you have you had your hand up a second ago? I saw you raise your hand.
That was earlier for something, I think.
Sorry.
Did I miss you? I apologize. Okay, all right. All those who are, who find this unfavorable, please raise your hand. And favorable or unfavorable, Coach? Oh. All those who find it favorable, raise your hand. All right, thank you very much, everybody. And we're adjourned until Tuesday. I don't know that we're even gonna get to meet on Tuesday because we have 13 judges to go through and a joint session starting at 1, but we get to see Angela and Will and Tom, this Tom's on a different thing, in action on Tuesday afternoon. So,
We're not doing anything tomorrow? Just before?
just the floor, I think we've had a good week.
It's gonna be a long day.
Unless
No, I got things to
let's
do.
start and we can throw a dart at that board and see which one will take off and talk about tomorrow afternoon. Okay, so
Thank you.
stay tuned just in case I hear that we are gonna have time on Tuesday, but we'll see you all